What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American living in Accra, Ghana. I'm in Sierra Leone right now, and I'm having some serious challenges with my QCell Wi-Fi. But if you want to know what my honest opinion is about Wakanda Forever, and what I think about it and what many other people think about it, then this is the video for you. And hopefully the intro plays because the video's been acting up all day today. Sorry, guys. I really do apologize if you're not able to see the intro and you're still seeing me because it's supposed to be playing right now, but I can't tell. It's been all bad. The Wi-Fi has been all bad. Welcome to Salone. The Wi-Fi has been terrible. All right, guys. If you're on, let me know that you can hear me. I'm gonna go live on Instagram as well. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We should be live on Instagram shortly. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. Blessing says you couldn't hear me on YouTube, but I think you can hear me now. I'm unmuted and I'm back. Thanks for joining on Instagram. If you guys don't know, we're talking about Wakanda Forever. It's been a few weeks, so this should be free of any spoilers at this point. Because if you're gonna see it, you've already seen it, and if you haven't seen it, then you're probably not gonna see it. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Wakanda Forever. I'm not gonna give like major plot twists, and neither are many of the spoilers. I think there are just good. Many of the videos we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some things. We're going to get some thoughts, and I'd love to hear back from you guys. My original interview for today canceled last minute, but the show must go on. You guys know that I go live every single Monday at 9 p.m. GMT, and then at various different times during the year, EST and PST. But usually it's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in the U.S. Right now, can you give me a thumbs up just so I know that you guys can hear me? If you're listening on and watching on Instagram, let me know that you guys can hear me, and let me know that you guys can hear me on YouTube. On Instagram, it looks like you guys can hear me. I pinned the post, and of course, it went away. So I'm going to pin it again so that you guys can join the pinned posts. You guys want to watch the live and you want to see what we're saying on screen, click on the post that's pinned. Today, we're talking about Wakanda Forever, and we're going to let you guys know what we think about it. All right, 50 Shades of Wade said you can hear me on Instagram. All right, cool. Nathan Live said you can hear me on Instagram. Cool. If you guys want, you can join the YouTube live. The link is pinned right there. That'll take you to the live where we can actually see the clips that I'm going to attempt to play, because now it's looking like my video is not lining up as well. Victor, what's up, Vic? Victor Batista's in the building. What's up, Vic? So Vic says he can hear me as well. Okay, cool. So I can't even see myself on screen right now, but it looks like you guys can potentially see me, and you can hear me, so that's good. Lady Minnie says you can hear me. What is it? Deep Ellendorf said you can hear me. All right, cool. So we're going to talk about Wakanda Forever today. But before we do, just a couple of bits of housekeeping for those of you who are new. First of all, I want to shout out to everyone who got us to 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. Many of you guys know I started this YouTube channel in February of 2021. February of 2022 obviously marked 1 year. Started it Authentic African, Black History Month. That was kind of the theme and the idea. 2 years prior to that, I started the Instagram page, Authentic African. And I started that on Black History Month as well. So that was the significance of these two pages. And the idea was bridging the gap between the diaspora and Africa. As someone who grew up culturally Black American, but both my parents were born and raised in Sierra Leone, the idea was for the Instagram page to really kind of bring the two groups together and have conversations about what's happening on the continent and in the diaspora. So that's originally what the Instagram page was about. So if you follow the Instagram page, you'll see different types of content from things that are happening in Africa, across the entire continent, and then things that are happening in the African diaspora. That's just how it's been, and that's how it always will be. It's also attached to the e-commerce store that I'll be relaunching in January. So you'll be able to buy products made authentically, African-made products by African, artisans, ethically sourced and handcrafted products made in Africa. You'll be able to buy on the Authentic African e-commerce store, which will be coming back in January of 2023. The Instagram, that's the Instagram page and what it was all about. The YouTube channel was really started to kind of chronicle my journey moving from the United States to Ghana, and building a house in Sierra Leone and coming back and forth between Ghana and Sierra Leone. As you guys know, I'm in Sierra Leone right now. I'm actually in the Pearl Hotel, who gave me 2 nights free. I have to shout out the Pearl Hotel. They gave me 2 nights free because of the promotion I have done for them previously by doing an interview and doing a tour here, interviewing the manager of both the hotel and the restaurant. I'm also going to be doing a tour of the property with the hotel manager, and I'm going to be doing another room tour. I've done 1 room tour today. I'm going to do another room tour. And then I'm going to do a tour of the restaurant, and then we're going to do a food review at the restaurant. Myself as a vegan, and then my social media manager, she'll be eating some of the carnivorous food items, whatever you call non-vegans. So they gave me 2 nights free, and they gave me a really special discount to stay at a property that they're renting next door. So I'll be staying there at some point in time in the near future. That's really dope, and I'm really excited about that. Again, I want to shout out everyone who helped us get to 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. That was no easy task. I spent the first part of that the last year doing 3 videos a week. I got to a point where it slowed down a little bit. Now we're at 1 to 3 videos a week, depending on the week and depending on my travel. It's all dependent on that. It's really exciting to really start to see my labor bear fruit, I guess you can say. Starting to be able to make some, do some serious networking. For those of you who are interested, I'm interviewing a lot of entrepreneurs in Sierra Leone. There's a lot of people who ask me about starting businesses in West Africa, Ghana and Sierra Leone in particular. I got a couple of interviews coming out with business owners in Ghana, a virtual reality guy, a guy who did VR, who's Ghanaian born and raised, a clothing line, Harry Cotton. Makia, I saw you there. That interview is actually the next one being edited right now. So that interview with Henry of Harry Cotton will be coming out shortly. And then I have some interviews that I've done here in Sierra Leone as well. I just interviewed the owner of Nali Spa, Nada. Nali Spa is a luxury spa. They do hair, nails, makeup, all kinds of different stuff. So we're definitely going to be putting that out before December for those of you who are coming to Sierra Leone and you want to know, especially the women who want to get your eyebrows done, you're going to get waxed, all that kind of stuff, nails, whatever. You can go there for that. Interviewing Dot Blue next week. He ships to Sierra Leone from the States, air freight, not through water. So anybody who's buying clothes and wants to ship it, he does all of that. So anything that you would want to ship via plane, right? So he does that. And we're interviewing a bunch of other people. I'm interviewing Bimbala from VSL. I'm trying to see if I can lock down an interview with Diallo from African Ancestry, who's doing stuff with people coming to Ghana and then people getting their citizenship in Sierra Leone. I got an interview with Razia, who's a fitness enthusiast here who has a bunch of fitness classes that she does. Abiola, who's a poet here. A bunch of different people. So business owners, people who are doing all different kinds of things. All of that is coming. And I've been working on all those interviews, had a lot of events. I emceed an event last week, and that really helped me get me in touch with a number of different people. And so a lot of interviews are coming. I'm really excited about it. As you can tell, I'm speaking with speed and excitement. It's all coming, and I'm really excited to share it with you all. So a couple different questions coming up. So let's see. So Victor said about damn time, when will Revolt partner up with you? Yeah, that's a good question. We got to get Revolt on this, and BET, and anybody else who does Black content. Let's get that going. Yeah, my boy actually works at BET. Actually, Victor, you know him. Dewan works at BET. So he went to Pace University with us. So maybe that's time for a conversation. He tried to see if he could get me in with the BET Awards, BET Hip Hop Awards, to interview some of the Afrobeats artists. Didn't really work out, but we're still working on trying to figure out how we can get in there. So I mean, Amina says, "Howdy, buddy, my brother." So it's fine. Body fine. I okay. No bad. I tie small, but I okay. She said, "Howdy, Salone. How's Salone?" So it's good. I love it. Salone Sweets, as they say. I'm having a good time here. I honestly lined. Do you mean lied or lined? iTuber, what do you mean by lined? Let me know. FreddieBTV, Freddie, where you at now? You be globetrotting. Yeah, I'm in Sierra Leone right now. I'm in Sierra Leone for the rest of the month. And then I'm going to Ghana next. Oh yeah, and Amina, yeah, made mention that I'm in Sierra Leone. All right, so we're going to get into this content today about Black Panther. I definitely want to hear your thoughts too as we go along the way. I definitely want to hear you guys. I'll give you some feedback that I've gotten from my nephews, which I think is really interesting because I think it's interesting to hear their thoughts. And I'll give you my thoughts. But first, I want to get into some other folks' thoughts. So those of you who are watching on Instagram Live, there's a link that's pinned there. If you want to see what I'm going to be putting on the screen, then you want to click on the pinned link and go to YouTube so you can watch this. If not, you can listen to it from there, and we can kind of just all react to it together. But I definitely want to hear you guys' thoughts because this is a polarizing film. Apparently it's polarizing. I myself have a lot of thoughts, and I'll be giving them in a second. But I do want to go to what I saw in my feeds. Having this page, Authentic African, I think has given me a lot of different perspectives that I didn't necessarily hear or see. There are a lot of conservative Black perspectives that I'm now hearing a lot more and seeing a lot more. There are a lot of people who are specific religious sects, SECTS. I don't know if that's how you spell it, but yeah, that have their own thoughts and opinions. And then there are people who are politically on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side of the aisle, and or a little bit more liberal, and hear their thoughts, and people who are across the spectrum. And it's been interesting to hear and see their thoughts. And so what I thought I would do is kind of give you a few thoughts that I thought were in some cases constructive, in other cases I wonder if they were just meant to be contrarian. And I'm not sure if they were really constructive or just more like, if I approach it this way, I'll get more views kind of thing. And then I'll tell you my honest opinion, my true thoughts. And I definitely want to hear from you guys. But before we get into it, since iTuber jumped in right away, I do want to get into what iTuber said, and then we'll jump into some of these comments. So iTuber said, so just to kick the conversation off, iTuber said, liked it better than the first Black Panther, but didn't like the constant forgiveness thing they force on us. No other peoples are repeatedly told to forgive everything and anything. I don't know if you're doing spoilers. There will be some spoilers, I guess, but like I'm not going to talk about the full plot of the movie or anything, but I am going to talk about certain elements of the movie that I think should be brought out as part of this discussion. So iTuber says, take care of business like Brother Killmonger says. Okay, Freddie B says, this is Freddie B, Black Panther 2 was a drop-off, no strong Black men, nothing but Black men to look up to, Black women good though. Okay, that's an interesting thought. I will give this though, M'Baku, right? So I think M'Baku is playing that role, right? In a couple of different ways. Remember who's going to be king of Wakanda, right? And remember the role that he had coming in there and making sure that what's her name from the Dora Milaje was got the boot, right? So I think that a lot of people are saying that because there's a couple of things missing. Number one, and I can't remember his name, but he went and did the Jordan Peele movie with Keke Palmer about the aliens and social media, whatever that thing was called. Because I think you know, that's who gave him his big break in Get Out. He kind of chose that over the Black Panther movie, which makes sense. He was also a lead in that. So he wasn't in this movie. Obviously, Chadwick Boseman had passed before or right as the first script was written for the second movie. And so obviously he couldn't be in it. And so in that case, what you have is a situation where you have to try to redo a movie when the fans had said they did not want Chadwick Boseman's role to be recasted. So they listened to the fans, which was a smart thing to do, I think, in this instance. And what they did is they went with a storyline that is in some of the comics, right? Where someone else takes on the mantle, at least for a little while. Because as some of you might know, in the comics, different people, but you know, they have children and they become new Black Panthers in the future, right? So I think that there's some things to think about. There's a lot of nuance there, and I want to get into all of these. But let's first get into some of the interesting comments I saw on the internet. Okay, so Freddie B says M'Baku was weak. Nope. Okay, that's fair. That is an interesting viewpoint. I disagree with you on that, but I also think too. Yeah, let's go into some of these. Let's go into some of these comments, because it was really interesting to see these. Like, people were going off. You know, there was a lot going on. So I'm gonna get to all of your questions. I see a lot of you guys typing in, so we're gonna get to these in a second. I'm gonna run through a couple of quick clips, and then I'm gonna get back to some of what you guys are saying. So let me share my screen, because, you know, I'm watching some of these things, and I thought it was really, really interesting to see that people had such adverse reactions to the movie, right? And so I thought the best thing to do is to share what I saw. As I was saying, with Authentic African, right, this page, I follow a lot of people who are thought leaders in different Black communities around the world, right? And so it gives me an opportunity to see how people see things from their perspective, and get to, you know, see if they change my mind or reinforce my ideas, ideals, and thoughts. And so I'm going to get into a couple really quickly. You know, all these videos are longer, so you guys can look up these videos yourself if you want to watch them in full. I just want to give you like the first few clips of so you get a theme of how people are seeing this. And then we'll get back to it because I think it's really interesting, and it's a long, nuanced conversation, and I don't want to spend too much time playing other people's videos when we can be talking about it here. So let's do this.
She said it, not me.
So I just left seeing Wakanda Forever, and I'm pissed. I am pissed because if Pushing an Agenda was a movie, this would be in the forefront of that.
So pushing an agenda is something I heard a lot of. I heard a lot of people talking about pushing an agenda. And I know what is meant by pushing an agenda. So that's something we can talk about here in a second. But I heard a lot of people mentioning the idea of pushing an agenda. And that's interesting because a lot of people talk about, is this movie too woke? Is it too left? Is Disney playing to too many like woke groups and trying to play to these minority groups? And so that's interesting, right? This is something that I hear a lot about. So pushing an agenda, that was what was said here. And that's basically the gist of the video, right? Is that. So you guys can watch this video if you want to. I don't want to play the whole video. There's a lot here. It's 9 minutes long. I'm not going to go through it. But I was one of them. And here was another one that I watched. Now, this one I thought was interesting because this one was meant to be a little bit more constructive. So I want to just listen to this for a second. It's a little bit more constructive. We're going to go through this for a second, and then we'll talk about what they're saying, and then we'll talk about this in the group.
Many things at once and can only muster doing one of them well, which is honoring Chadwick Boseman. The film shines in a few moments, particularly the scenes bookending the film, and hinges on the hope that those scenes can manipulate you into thinking the other parts of the movie are good, or at least hoping you'll forgive them. Yep. But what's left is an unfortunately clumsy and shallow film that was clearly made with the best intentions, but can't get out from under the large shadow cast by our fallen hero, and can't escape the horrible writing that continues to plague the MCU's Phase 4.
Whew. Man, he went in, right? So he has some things to say about some of the other movies in MCU's Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the cinematic universe they've created of all these movies tying into each other, right?
Is this Eternals level bad? No, not really. But it's Black Panther, and it shouldn't be like this. I'd be interested to know what the original script was like before Boseman passed, because what we're stuck with now is a film that tries to A, honor T'Challa, B, build up a new lead character, C, introduce and establish a new antagonist, D, introduce another new hero, E, try and nudge the MCU as a whole forward at least a little bit. Each of these things could take an entire movie, but we shove all of these requirements into this, and what do we get? A disjointed mess, trying to do so many things in one film that you end up with a bloated runtime that, despite trying to accomplish so much, becomes a snooze fest at its best.
Woo! Man, that was constructive, but he went in. He had a lot to say. And I don't think he's wrong in a lot of instances in terms of just criticizing the film in general, right? So yeah, I mean, yes, sure, fine. He made a lot of good points. I think specifically, Marvel's doing that a lot right now, trying to put a lot of things in films to try to make it so that the next few films, they don't have to do as much explaining of these different characters because they're trying to bring out so many things and so much in this next phase. But that was all constructive. So remember, the first one was the narrative. This one is really more about constructive criticism about the film itself. And I'm going to speak to both of those in my own time, after I get to some of your comments. Just some other comments. This one, I think, is hilarious.
Last night, that left the theater before the credits started. That's been bothering me all day. Like, I was sitting. Yes, I'm still talking about Black Panther. No spoilers, I promise. I was sitting in my seat. The last scene ended, and a bunch of people just got up and started walking out. I was like, "Are y'all okay?"
No, it's okay. I got it. Cause if nobody tells her, she's not gonna know. Let me help you out. The reason why that happened is because the movie is trash.
So I went to the guy's page, right, to see if he had like a longer description of why he said the movie is trash. I can't find anything. So it was just a YouTube short just to do that. And it's funny. And I probably watched it like, I don't know, 5 times. I thought it was hilarious because he caught me off guard with that at the very end. 17,000 likes, 3,200 comments. Don't even know what the total number of views are, but he achieved what he was looking to achieve with that one. Okay, and then the last one is Tim Pool. Some people consider him far right. He's a person on the right side of the political aisle. He has a lot of commentary about things pertaining to race, freedom of speech, etc. He has some things to say, and it's basically the title of the movie is speaking to what he says people are saying about it. I'm not going to play the full video because it's so long. It's 21 minutes, so you guys can watch it. But basically, the title is expressing that Black Panther Forever, he's saying, and some people are saying it's insanely racist. The movie insults Mexicans, and some people on the left say it's too woke. There's a reason why I didn't say that word in particular. There's certain words that I'm learning will get you pushed down in the algorithm. So I'm learning how to maneuver around certain words and things to say. All right, cool. So we're gonna kind of touch on all of those things, and I will do that in a second and give my own opinions. But I want to get through what some of you guys have said, because you guys started writing some comments in about 10 minutes ago, and I wanted to get through those first and get through it. All right, so Victor says, Victor, you're Dominican, right? Remind me if you're Dominican, Victor. But he said, my nephews are also Haitian. We're so hyped to see their country and language brought to the big screen. The movie was great. Send off for Chadwick Boseman. Yeah, the idea of representation matters, right? I think is something that comes up a lot in these conversations, right? There's the idea of the Latin American representation in this, with obviously a fictional city. In the comics, the city is Atlantis, but because DC already came out with Aquaman, and the movie's called Aquaman, and it was in Atlantis, they had to go with another name of a town, and I can't remember what it's called. But it also had vibranium, but they were hidden. And there was a whole bunch of different things. But the idea of weaving in Haiti, and some Haitian culture in there, Black Americans, Africans, Latin Americans, all in one film. They did a lot and they squeezed it all in there. And then some people might say, like this critic had said, there's a lot going on, but I do think that you had all that representation. And I do think in strong forms, you know, depending on how you look at it, Freddie B says no strong male Black leads, but based on what we talked about, you got to understand why that is. You know, you have all these other folks that are definitely represented in a real way. iTuber says the woman who played Shuri was great. The actress carried the film well. And remember, guys, so the Marvel, when they do these movies, right, they have like an overarching theme, right? You're leading to the end of a phase. They've had 4 phases so far, and this was supposed to kick off phase 5. And initially, the idea, Chadwick Boseman's character was supposed to be, as a Black Panther, was supposed to be one of the leaders of the Avengers moving forward. And, you know, the idea of these movies is like they all get their backstories, come together as Avengers, beat the big bad, and then move on to the next phase, right? And that's kind of how Marvel has done it. It's been a formula that works really well for them. Most people don't even know that's what's happening. They're just watching every movie. But they kind of work on these movies and these ideas 4 or 5 years in advance, or even longer, maybe even 10 years in advance. And then they do 2 to 4 films per year to try to get you to that point. And originally, Chadwick Boseman was supposed to be a larger part of the next phase. And because he passed, they had to kind of redo the whole script and even change the story in some ways to try to make it make sense. So there's a lot they had to do. You know what? Can you guys just give me a thumbs up to let me know that you can hear me? I just want to make sure you guys are hearing me, because I know that my internet's been going in and out. And so just let me know. Just give me a quick check-in so I know you guys can hear me on Instagram and if you can hear me on YouTube. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. So going back to Freddie B's comment, he was saying that M'Baku was weak. I disagree. I think, you know, his part was short, but I don't think it was weak. I think, you know, they were trying to do a lot in a little bit of time, right? This is something that will probably be best done in a series format instead of in a movie format. But, you know, it was already slated to be a movie, so they did it as a movie. I would have thought it might have been better to try to do it as a series and make it like a limited series, 1 season, so they could really get all this and fill out the characters and the story arcs a little bit better. But they did what they did with the time that they had. So it is what it is. iTuber says, given Chadwick died, the film did a great job with what they had and set up a future of the franchise well. Just think of it as a transition film. Yeah, I think so too. And that's the other thing too, right? Like, and that what I was saying before, right? Is when you're dealing with the loss of a main character, how else can you really move forward with something when not only this main character was the staple for the film and was kind of the glue for everything surrounding the film, there were also other films that were meant to be based on this film and using this film as a catapult or a jumping point for the next phase with him as a main character. And now he's passed. So how do you represent that in this film? And then also, how do you give him a proper send-off? And I like the way they did it. For those of you who haven't seen it, you can watch it and see. But I thought that they did a really good job with how they handled it, because they were able to do it in a way that, to me, was the best way they could have done it. Because I was always wondering, how are they going to do this, right? You can do some CGI, something, but then it'll be counterintuitive to so many different things. But the way they did it, without expressing specific detail, I think was in parallel with Chadwick Boseman's real life. And so it worked for the movie. And they can figure out how they want to decide to describe it later. They left it kind of open-ended. So if they decide they want to discuss it later, they can. So I think they did really well with that. iTuber says, I'm ready for Wakanda to stop being so dang passive, though. They're the most powerful, so time to flex a little and show they're not to be messed with. In the comics, Wakanda is ruthless to their foes. Yes. all true. However, this is Disney we're dealing with here, right? And Disney is very careful with how they deal with these kinds of things, right? You don't want to show mercenary style killing at a countrywide level, right? That I would definitely say. So you got to be, they have to be very careful with that. And so that's why the way they do it is the way they do it, right? Where it's more of the approach of a togetherness. Let's work together. We will flex if we have to. And they showed that when they met with the UN. And you know, so there are different things that they can do there. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I think, you know, you'd love to see it be more comic book accurate, but at the same time, I think people might walk away feeling like it's more like how America has been in the past, and not everybody's really happy about that, right? Because you have the technology and because you have the artillery doesn't mean you need to be a bully, right? And I think the idea of how they're depicting Wakanda in the movies is that the most powerful people exert their power through, the most powerful people that that you want to emulate exert their power through diplomacy and not through brute strength, right? And I think that's what they're trying to show. Whereas, you know, America as a country that's in parallel to what we know as the United States throughout the years, using brute strength and economics and military resources to in some ways dictate how other countries handle their elections and do things moving forward. I'm choosing my words carefully. But yeah, so I think that they were smart with how they did it. I understand what you're saying, iTuber, but I think part of it is what I just said, right? Freddie B's having issues at the airport. Is it just issues at the airport, or can y'all hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me, and it's not Freddie B's Wi-Fi. Sorry, it's not my Wi-Fi, but it is Freddie B's Wi-Fi. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me. Nobody gave me the thumbs up the last time when I asked if you guys can hear me. But let me know that you guys can hear me, because I can't see myself on the screen right now. And I'm supposed to be able to see myself on screen. I see it on Instagram Live, so that's working. But I can't see myself on YouTube Live. So let me know you can hear me. Really quickly, we're going to jump off topic. I'm going to answer this question for Fode. Fode had a question. Do you know that there is a group of African Americans in Sierra Leone right now waiting for the Sierra Leone citizenship? I do know that. I met with a number of them yesterday. I met with some folks who are here with Dynast, and I met some folks who are here with African ancestry. And I interviewed the folks from African ancestry, a few of them, 6 of them. Actually, we had a really great discussion the other day, 2 days ago, yesterday. I don't even remember. The days are all blurring together. So yes, I did know that. And I did meet some folks with Dynast Group. And I'm trying to see if I can meet up and interview with them or even talk to them at a later date and time. But I met some really interesting people. So yeah. I actually ran into them last week when I was the MC for an event. They were in the same hotel, and they were all checking in the day that I was the day before the event. And so I got a chance to meet a bunch of them when they were checking in. Excuse me. All right. So another comment from Victor. Victor says the unity on both sides felt true to both culture. Storyline was impactful. The 3D effects kept the kids on the edge of their seat. So yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing, right? Like I said, the representation, right? You mentioned your nephews being Haitian, my nephews being biracial, but not ever seeing themselves in any of these films, at least the African side of themselves in these films. They used to have favorite characters before Black Panther came out in 2018. And when they saw Black Panther, that was their new favorite character. So I would definitely say that is really important to have that kind of representation. When you see yourself on film and you see yourself in different ways, it does a lot for your psychology in terms of how you decide to approach the world that you're moving in, right? If you see yourself represented in different ways, you see different options for yourself, even if it's in the superhero format, because superheroes, just like sports, show you a lot about grit, determination, how to deal with, let's say adversity. And, all of those things are shown in these two different areas. One, obviously you can do yourself in terms of sports, and you can kind of see that personally, but you can even see it when you're just a spectator. And then with film, it's the same thing, right? It can have that same kind of effect. Salone TITI says, hello, what's up, Salone TITI? Okay, so we got Lilacer. I don't know how to, sorry, if you tell me how to pronounce that. The Black Panther is just rubbish, all woke BS. Sorry, I wasted my money to go and watch it. I'd love to hear if you could speak to that more. I want to understand, what did you mean by that? Like, that was a very strong a very strong statement that you made there. I really want to hear what you mean specifically about it being rubbish, all woke BS. Sorry, I wasted my money to go and watch it, because that's a really interesting statement. I'd love to hear what you mean by that. Miss P got here, and said you can hear me. Can you hear me and see me, or can you just hear me? Like, are you seeing a black screen and just hearing my voice, or can you guys actually see me on YouTube? Because I see people jumping in and out of the live, and it's leading me to believe that you guys can't actually even see me. You can only hear me. But can you guys see me? And let me know. If not, you know, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I'm just gonna do QCell. Do not get a QCell MiFi. Do not get unlimited QCell MiFi when you come to Ghana. Sorry, come to Sierra Leone. I would recommend probably looking at AfriCell. They say, and I know someone who used to work at AfriCell. They say that it uses up your battery life, or uses up the data quickly, and it's more expensive. But apparently, it has much better signal. My Orange doesn't have good signal. My QCell doesn't have good signal, and I'm gonna switch over to AfriCell before the next live, because it's really bad right now. And unfortunately, the place that I'm staying in, the Wi-Fi has been iffy itself, and it leads me to believe that it's on QCell too. So anyway, all right. So that's what everyone had to say. I heard what a lot of you had to say. We heard what some people on the internet had to say. Now let's hear what my thoughts are, because I want to get into this a little bit. So I'm gonna just say off the rip, sometimes I don't really care how you get there or your reasoning for getting there. If it still has a net positive, I'm going to say I'll still give it a positive review if it still has a net positive. And so in these ways, I think it has a net positive. Number one, it shows the diaspora and Africans coming together. There are a couple of things that happen in this movie that are specific to what's happening in the real world right now. There are a lot of Twitter threads and clubhouse rooms and back and forths on Facebook about Africans in America who are, you know, feeling entitled, taking jobs, talking negatively about Black Americans, but also are benefiting from what the previous generation of Black Americans did, so that they can have those privileges. And then on the other side, there are those who are like, in some cases, like, these Americans are coming to our country and gentrifying our country, inflating our currency, bringing their entitled and mentalities, blah, 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 blah. And these are conversations that are starting to bubble to the surface and are having a larger impact on the overall relations between the two groups. These are not the overwhelming majority of the way people think, but there are conversations that are happening and growing. And I think movies like this, even though they're not real, it shows that, right? You have Riri Williams from Chicago, who works together with a fictional African country, right? For a common good, right? And it shows them as scientists working together to build things and to progress, right? So I think that was one important thing that came up. The other thing is, if you guys might notice, in one of the first scenes of the movie, there was a group of like mercenaries that attacked a Wakanda like base in the water, right? And why is that important? It's because who it was and how it was addressed. It was the French. And I don't know if you guys remember last year when there were some conversations about, Ghana and other countries talking about doing business with the French or with Europe in terms of like cocoa and exports and, some of the Benin statues and things like that, things that have been held in France and how they've been, how the way they're acting currently is impacting Francophone West Africa. And so bringing that to light in a movie that is supposed to be about fun and a superhero movie is also educating people just a little bit on certain things that are happening. And I thought it was interesting that they chose France for that particular moment. Then the idea of talking about how I thought this was a little tongue in cheek, a little extra, but kind of funny when what's her name from the Dora Milaje was talking to the queen, and she said that she's at a school. They call it MIT. It's a village school. It's much like one of our village schools in Wakanda, right? Kind of throwing shade at MIT. Now, obviously, MIT is a prestigious university. My cousin went there. Really smart guy, one of the smartest people I know. And very smart people go to MIT. You know, Kanye's out here yelling at MIT graduates, saying they're wasting their education and their brain power. But I thought that was funny. And it's also the same school that the kids in the Spider-Man movie were really hoping to get into, right? And so what you had is a young Black girl from Chicago who wasn't the stereotypical person that they would have is the stereotypical Black person that would go to an MIT, right? I think many more people could probably see her and relate to her. Why is that important? I remember when Cardi B was talking about Michelle Obama, right? And I remember when she was saying that, you know, she's cool and all, but I don't relate to her. And I know, you know, look, Cardi B, people have different ideas and opinions about her, but what she was trying to get at is she knew that she doesn't speak like Michelle Obama. She doesn't have the context Michelle Obama has, so she doesn't really relate to her. And I thought that the character they had playing Riri Williams and how she was being portrayed was more like a Chicagoan sort of, but like people could see that and think that I could potentially go to MIT if I do what it takes to get there, instead of thinking that that is for someone else that's not like me. So I thought that was important. And these have nothing to do with the technical plot, but I think these are important things because it's plant seeds in people's minds on especially kids in terms of like things that they can do. It changes how you see the world around you. So I think that that's really important. Yeah, and just she was really smart and shows that you could be yourself and you could do really well, right? And then there's the black and brown relations, right? I mean, I don't know how many of you guys know about a lot of the gang wars that were happening in Los Angeles in the 90s, where there were a lot of like black and brown gang wars that were happening, not only in the Black community, but between the Latino Americans, in particular Mexicans for the most part, and Black Americans. In Los Angeles, it was bad, and even still, sometimes today, there's some undercurrents, you know, and so and even between Haitians and Dominicans, right, who share the same island, there happens to be some challenges there, and there's a lot of conversations about Afro-Latinas and people who have Black skin color living in Latin American countries and some of what they face there, and so I thought it was really important to show. You know, although there can be an antagonizing relationship from time to time, that can work together for a common good. So I thought that was really important, and that was really smart the way they did it. I thought it was even important for them to show that there was an attempt to enslave Latin Americans as well, and that did happen as well. And you saw some of that in the movie, because that's not even something that people really think about, right? It doesn't come up in the conversations, but there were entire populations of you know, natives that were wiped out, and a lot of that I think goes undiscussed, and some of it I think was depicted in this film. So I thought that so I got disconnected from the YouTube live. My bad, guys. Are you guys still there? Can you guys hear me? I don't know when I got disconnected, but I can actually see myself again on screen finally. So that's a good thing. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me again. My bad, guys. I got disconnected, and I think I know where I got left off. So what I was saying is the depiction of same-sex relationships. Disney is a business. They're looking to bring more fans in that are even casual fans. And so the idea is they are, I was saying that representation matters, right? And as a Black community, we always talk about representation matters, and we want to see ourselves represented in positive light on screen, because I think what it does is it helps our youth and the next generation of people see more options for themselves in terms of career paths, or just even see themselves in a different light than they have been depicted previously. And so you also have other minority groups who feel like they need to be represented. And I think what Disney is doing is trying to pick off these different minority groups and bring them all in, because a lot of times casual fans is what takes a movie from a $500 million film to $1 billion movie, right? And so they're looking to do those kinds of things. And so yes, it's about commerce. It's about making money. We're in a capitalistic society. These movies need to make money. They need to sell lunch boxes and action figures and sheets and pajamas and book bags and rides at theme parks, not just movies. And so they're trying to think about all of the commerce that they can generate from this. So they are kind of trying to appeal to all, right? And so that's the idea I heard, like, pushing an agenda. And actually China has decided not to play Wakanda Forever in Chinese theaters at all, because there was a depiction of a same-sex relationship in the film. And if you get up to go pee, if you walk away for 2 seconds, if you blink, you may even miss it. It's such a short little moment, but in that moment, that was enough for a country as big as China, who Disney bets on. Like Shang-Chi didn't play in China, so it didn't do as well. Black Panther probably won't do as well as it did. Wakanda Forever won't do as well as the first Black Panther, which did over $1 billion, because it will not be played in China. So unfortunately, and there's a whole nother thing about, first of all, the first Black Panther, the original poster for Black Panther, just to put this out there, the original Black Panther poster, was Chadwick Boseman, like with his hands like this, and it was his face. When they did it in China, Disney knew that they said that Chinese audiences don't like Black leads. Apparently, this is according to reports. So they put the mask on him and changed the color, changed the eyes, so that you couldn't tell it was a person of color. And then once you're in the theater, you're already in the theater. You're already watching the movie. That's what they're saying. I don't know how true that is, but if that's true, then you already understand how much Disney needs China to help sell their films, or to have more attendance of the films. So anyway, so that's where I'm going to go with the representation thing. So we talked about France. We talked about the relationships between Black and Brown. We talked about being from Chicago and seeing yourself from any neighborhood around the United States or around the world, whereas you may not see yourself as what the normal depiction of someone who goes to MIT would look like. You might see yourself in the person like that Riri Williams was. The bridging of the Africans and the African Americans in that film, I thought was important. I thought was really good. And there were a lot of like tearjerker moments too in the movie. Like that, they did a really good job of making you feel something, at the very beginning and also at the end, and also in the middle, or towards the end. There was some things there that happened that I'm not going to give away too much of, but yeah, I mean, that was good. It was good. They got me. I went to see it with a friend and they lost it. They were crying in the theaters. So, there were a lot of teary eyes in the theaters for sure because of this movie. So, I thought it was really well done for all of those reasons. So I know some of us disagree because I read what some of your comments were. I disagree with some of you guys on what some people said. And just to go back to what Freddie B was saying, he had mentioned that he felt like there were no strong male Black leads. And the thing is that originally Chadwick Boseman was the main strong Black lead. And then, of course, you had Michael B. Jordan, who was an antagonist in the film, and he was actually the main antagonist of the film. So technically you had him as a strong Black lead, right? Or another strong Black lead. And then you had the M'Baku character, and then you had the other character from the guy from Get Out. But the guy from Get Out went to do another movie, so he didn't show up for the Black Panther 2 movie, so you couldn't have him there. Michael B. Jordan's character obviously passed in the first movie, so they can only bring him back in the ancestral plane. In this movie, Chadwick Boseman actually passed in real life, so he couldn't be the Black Panther. So all you have left is the guy who played M'Baku. And so, you have to have that, however you can fit him in there. And so it's really challenging to do it any other way. How else would you do that, right? And so I've seen that as a complaint, right? Where it's like, it's just, especially from like the red pill right. When I mean right, I mean political right, or a lot of red pill folks saying like, they're trying to, is pushing the agenda of women, et cetera, et cetera. The Dora Milaje was in the first movie. And if you think about it, right, we're talking about, and the Dora Milaje are in the comic books. This is kind of like the Secret Service. This is like the army, one of the main armies of Wakanda, right? And it's an all female army, all woman army. So that's not new. They just introduced the new version of it, like almost like the Navy SEALs version of it in this movie, which is also in the comics. So none of that has changed. What has changed is you have a male lead that passed. You had a secondary male lead who died fictionally in the first film and can only be brought in the ancestral plane in the second film. And then you have another guy who, had to go do a Jordan Peele movie because that's the guy who put him on for Get Out. So he went and did that movie instead of did Black Panther. So those you don't have those folks in the film. So how else are you going to depict it? Do you bring in, War Machine, which doesn't really flow with how the story goes? Like, how do you do this? So, I think that commentary, I think people say, is you have to really think about what you have available to you. And what they did, I think they did the best with what they could. Browncoat Blue said, I thought it was good. Also said, I think the haters are being absolutely ridiculous on this one. Let the queen shine some and shut your mouth. Be proud and be happy for women. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of conversations though right now, and not to be, I don't like saying the devil's advocate, but just to be a contrarian. There's a lot of people saying that they feel like there's this idea in the world right now amongst a few that it's at the expense of men sometimes. And, strong male leads and things like that are starting to go away. They're starting to see like less strong male leads, I will say. There's different words and different phrases used to describe them, but I'm not going to bring those to light. But yeah, I see a lot of those discussions. And so I think that's what people are talking about. I just depicted what I think had to happen for that film. And I think they did it right, considering the circumstances. Like I said, some of you who joined late, the film was written when Chadwick Boseman was alive. The first version of the script, he didn't get a chance to read it. And so, it was done, he didn't read it. And he passed. And it's been speculated that the reason why he didn't read it is because he was very ill, and obviously he was soon going to pass, and so he didn't have an opportunity to read the script. And so, look, you got to put together a movie like this, in the same time frame that you were originally given to shoot and film the movie, when your main character has moved on, and nobody was prepared for it, because he didn't have a conversation with them because he didn't have to, right? So he didn't tell the people at Marvel or Disney that he had pancreatic cancer, and it was I think it was pancreatic cancer, correct me if I'm wrong, but that it was severe, and that his prognosis was that he probably he didn't have much time left to go. He decided to go out on his own terms, and so that was totally up to him. And so, and you know, I don't think the first thing on his mind was Black Panther. You know, he was thinking about, you know, his life. And so, you know, look, they did the best with what they had, right? In my opinion. And I think, honestly, I think it was a good film. I think it was really good. I talked to some people, and some people think it was better than the first one because of the range of emotions you go through in that film. I honestly didn't think that Michael B. Jordan was a good bad guy. He's too nice of a guy. He just is, you know, like I've seen him play in so many other roles, and he's just not the right guy to play that role. There are so many other people who could have been Killmonger. I just didn't think he was right to play Killmonger in the first movie myself. So, so, you know, to me, I think that that was a major flaw in the first film. But also, he was obviously a draw. You know, he'd been working out for Creed, so you know he was built. Girls seemed to love him. So, you know, a lot of people were excited to see him in the film. You know, many scenes with like his shirt off and stuff. So, I mean, people seem to love that. So, I'll give him that. I mean, I think that probably helped with the film, but I don't think he was the right person for that role, in my opinion. Anyway, so that was my critique of the first film. To be honest, I just couldn't see him in that role. There's so many other people who could have played Killmonger, in my opinion. All right, so Browncoat Blue says, I mean, some of that is real. I'm not denying that. We're talking about strong male Black leads, right? However, this is not one of those cases. Like you said, there were limited options for men. People just need to think critically. Yeah, I mean, I think people have a lot of ideas about things based on their feelings, things like that. I know Freddie B, I'd love for you to be able to defend your viewpoint, but he was at the airport and lost service. So unfortunately, he's not going to be able to further defend his viewpoint. But I did want to debate him just a little bit on that, because I want to hear his thoughts and maybe see why he thought what he thought. You know, change my mind. I like the idea of someone changing my mind or getting me to see something different than I currently see. All right, cool. So we are now at 1 hour. Again, the original idea of this was to talk to another guest. They didn't show up, so I had to, you know, kind of last minute change what we decided to talk about. I had started working on a Wakanda Forever review 3 weeks ago. But as you guys know, I've been traveling a lot, and so I just didn't have the opportunity to get it done, get it edited, get it uploaded and out. So I just thought, why not do a review here? It's been a few weeks, give everybody a chance to watch it, so I'm not telling too much about the film. But yeah, so let's go to some more comments really quickly. Okay. So iTuber says, on another note, you are in your guest house, or is it not done yet? For the building with cement, want to get hot even at night? Any insulation going on? Okay, so let me answer all those questions. So I'm not in the guest house yet. That will be as of February, early next year. Shout out to Samara, just joined. So no, I'm not there yet. So that'll happen early next year. Right now, I'm in a hotel here. As I mentioned before, I got 2 nights free because of the YouTube channel. Doing a tour, and I'm interviewing the manager. I interviewed the manager this morning. I'm going to interview him again. We're going to do another tour. Got a bunch of stuff going on here, but yeah, I got 2 nights free. So finally it's paying off. And then I'm getting a huge discount at another place that they own. So I'm really excited about that. For the building with cement, want to get hot even at night. Maybe, but I will have AC and solar. So I will be sure to have AC on. It may get hot at night, but also where the house is gets really, really good breeze and cool at night. So it probably won't be too hot. Even if I just left the windows open, it'll be cool there. It's really cool over there. Just do a part 2 when those guests are available. No, it's not a part 2. It's a completely different conversation. So the guest who I was supposed to have join wasn't supposed to be about Wakanda Forever. We were supposed to talk about a podcast that they have, not the Sounds of a Crop podcast, the Sound of a Crop podcast, but a separate podcast more focused on Africa and African diasporans as a whole, not just Ghana. But he was unable to do the call for personal reasons. And so I needed to come up with another topic for today. And Wakanda Forever was already top of mind for me. So I thought I would do that instead. iTuber says, sorry, I get off topic. No worries. You guys remember that time when I was in Nigeria and somebody got me way off topic on the LeBron topic, and we went way down a rabbit hole and like pissed off like half the people that were on. They all like jumped off the live, if you guys remember that. So yeah, it's all good. I get off topic sometimes too. Is this they Sierra Leonean owners or not? So where I'm staying here, no, they're not Sierra Leonean. They are Lebanese. They're Lebanese, yeah. So most of the big businesses here are not owned by Sierra Leoneans. A lot of them are owned by Lebanese. Samara and I, you and I have had this conversation. Many folks have this conversation. I've had this conversation with my friends in Ghana as well, and people who I know from Nigeria. Yeah, so no. And the manager is not Sierra Leonean. He's not even African. He's Filipino. So that's going to be interesting too. So I'm interviewing him. Sorry, I got to plug in my laptop. The battery's dying. So we'll have that discussion, and I'm going to have a whole nother discussion about hiring local and why there are challenges, you know, and maybe that's something we can talk a little bit about now. You know, like, look, so many people are pissed off that people who are not Sierra Leonean own businesses here and that they don't hire Sierra Leoneans. But the biggest challenge that we have is many of our best and brightest leave the country and move to the US, Canada, UK, Denmark, Australia. And so instead of staying and helping, you know, rising tide floats all boats, many people jump and move elsewhere. And so because of that, you lose a lot of people who are and I'm not going to say there aren't very many talented people that are still left, just harder to find, and they go into other fields, a lot of times government, and other fields where they're more lucrative. And so you have a smaller pool to choose from. And so it makes you more limited. And so that's one of the challenges here. Maybe I should do a whole live about that, because when I first came here, I had one thought, and then I started employing people. And now I have another thought. So we could talk about that all day, because, you know, now that I've gone through 3 contractors, I've seen some of the kind of stuff that some of my contractors, workers have done. I employ social media managers here, and, you know, other people who do other work. And I will tell you right now, I totally understand why people import talent from other places here to Sierra Leone. I love my country and I love my people, but I also understand that that is one of the major challenges here, is finding and retaining good talent. Okay. iTuber says, glad you're back in Africa. Wishing you continued success. Thank you. I'm glad to be back too. You know, I spent, and you know, every time I do that to my beard, it makes it look funny. So I'm going to comb it. I hope you guys don't have a problem with that, because, you know, I don't like seeing that it has like that, my handprints in it. So look, it was great to travel. I got a chance to see a lot of family when I was in the States. I got to celebrate my cousin's wedding reception. That was a lot of fun. Shout out to Frank, married an amazing woman. She's for real. I can only hope to have what he got one day. And so, yeah, I mean, she's serious. She's like a real deal. So that was cool. And seeing a bunch of other family members and people I haven't seen in a really long time, friends from high school, everything. So that was cool. That was an amazing time. Other high school friends I saw, I had my 20-year high school reunion while I was there. So yeah, that was all good, right? Getting a chance to have all of that. But I missed being here on the continent, and being a majority can't be beat. Like, you know, I like being a majority. I love being a majority, and I want to continue living that way. And so I love being here. And I love that my job is shifting to have me focusing on the continent of Africa. So I'll probably be spending less time in the States next year, actually. I'll be spending more time on the continent and probably moving around the continent, more times in Nigeria and Ghana, a little bit, some more time here in Sierra Leone, not for work, but just for the house building process. So yeah, all of that. I'm excited about all of that. All right, cool. You guys have been great as always. We're now 1 hour and 8 minutes in. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning. I'm going to watch it back because I want to know what it looked like to you guys. My screen just went black. So I couldn't even see myself. I couldn't see what was happening. I'm just talking to a black screen the whole time. But I could see myself on Instagram, but I couldn't see myself on YouTube. So I'm going to have to go back and check to see what that looked like. But are there any more last minute questions, comments, thoughts that you guys had from me before we move on? I definitely want to hear from you guys. And I'm really excited about the content that's coming. Guys, I went to an album release party last night. I'm interviewing an artist. His name is Mellow7. Really, really talented dude. I'm going to be interviewing him this week, maybe next week. I went to a spa, interviewed the spa owner, interviewed 5 or 6 Americans who are of Sierra Leone descent that we hear were African ancestry. I interviewed them the day before yesterday, and it was a really, really cool discussion. They're leaving tomorrow, so I'm glad, or Wednesday, so I'm glad I got them when I did, because they were only here for a short time, and I just so happened to get here like a couple of days before they got here, so it was perfect timing. So I'm really excited to share with you that conversation. Man, they are, you know, all of us have great conversations here in the live, right? And it's a great chance for me to hear people and see people who are pretty much the same wavelength as I am, right? But it's interesting to see it concentrated in one place, because you got to imagine people who decide to do their African ancestry, then decide to come to Sierra Leone to get their citizenship, are all on pretty similar wavelength. And so to have a conversation with them, it was powerful. It was really powerful to hear their stories, and to get an understanding of why they decided to come here and to get their dual citizenship. Man, it was inspiring to me, you know, and I obviously already have my citizenship completely through a different process, but it was amazing to see. I'm really, really proud of what Sierra Leone is doing with that and those people. And I can't wait to share their story. It was an hour long, so I'm going to break it up probably into 2 or 3 parts. But the conversation was really, really powerful and impactful, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. Destination Africa Group TV. What's up, guys? Ammina and Michael. I'll see you guys end of year, early next year when I get back to Ghana. I know I keep saying I'll see you guys when I get back to Ghana, but I've spent, in the last 5 months, I spent a total of 3 weeks in Ghana. So that's why I didn't get a chance to see you guys, but we will definitely catch up in person when I get there. And the interview that I did with you two is being edited next. So within the next 2 weeks, the video that we did a long time ago is finally coming out. You guys know how it is with editing. It's just tough. It's tough. All right, cool. Jerry Campbell says, always hoped and just discovered I have Sierra Leone ancestry. Nice. Nice. Congratulations. Wish I could have made the November 3rd reunion with African ancestry, but it will have to be next year sometime. Yeah, and it'll probably be a bigger group next year. But yes, come the next year, because you know, every year they're doing this and the group seems to be growing. And if you do it next year, I'll probably be there to greet the group. I met Diallo, who's kind of the overseer of a lot of things happening here in West Africa. And so he and I haven't had a chance to like sit down and really chop it up and interview, and he hasn't even seen my content yet. So I'm looking forward to him getting a chance to see it and us potentially collaborating at some point in time in the future. But I would love to go on the trip with you all when you do come here, because I'd love to be able to film it as a person who's going through it. I mean, I've done my citizenship, but I haven't done all the rest of the stuff. And so I think it could be really interesting, and you guys could see what it looks like. For those of you who are interested or wondering, I would love to be able to show you guys that. So yeah. Anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns about Wakanda Forever or anything else we talked about today? More than happy to discuss it. I am running out of energy. The last 5-6 nights, I have been up late nights and up really early in the morning. And I still have another late night of work to go. The work never ends, guys. The work never ends. All right, cool. So Jerry Campbell says, looking forward to it. That would be wild. Yeah, let's see. Let's see if I'm able to record it. Oh, by the way, so Phoenix Morris just joined. Have to cast a replay. Yes, you do. You definitely got to cast a replay. So I will say this. I met a few of the folks from African ancestry, and they recognized me from the lives that you guys are passing around, the videos that I do that you guys have been sharing. You know, I really want to thank you all for your support. Many of you have been showing up every week, who've been commenting on the videos. You know, obviously I can't do this without you. You know, a lot of people get discouraged doing YouTube when, you know, your live numbers are 9 people on the live, when sometimes you have 45 people, or other times you have 100 people on live, or you have more than 100 people on live, and sometimes you only have 9 people. But you know, so sometimes it messes with your ego, but it's good to know that you have people who support all the time, because it's not always about quantity, it's about quality, you know. And when you're building your tribe, it's supposed to be about quality, not quantity. And so I'm proud to say that you guys are my authentic African tribe, and I'm excited to continue to build this with you guys and to tell more people's stories. There are some other people that I met here who live in Ghana or live in Sierra Leone, and I'm definitely going to be telling more of their stories. It's not only going to be me. I'm definitely going to be telling some of their stories as well, because because my story is interesting, but it's not the only story. So Phoenix Mars says, "Oh, I love Dr. Gina and Dr. Rick. They're doing extremely important work." Oh, you mean, yes, African ancestry. Got it. Yes. So Aisha says, "Thanks to your advice, I have my 1,000 subscribers. It's very difficult to stay motivated." Well, congrats, Aisha. You got to 1,000. Congrats. How far are you on the 4,000 watch hours to hit the partner program? But congratulations on hitting the 1,000 subscribers. And I'm always happy to help. If anybody wants to ask my thoughts, I can give you my thoughts on how to get to your 1,000 subscribers and your 4,000 watch hours. Because I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's not easy, but it's worth it for sure. Aisha said, "The work you do is awesome." Thank you, Aisha. I really appreciate that. The work you do is awesome too. And I really appreciate you coming on and helping me understand a little bit more about the African ancestry process, because I had no idea about any of it. So I'm glad we got a chance to share that with the group. So she did a live with me a few weeks back. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Jerry Campbell says, "Thank you, man. Your videos are an inspiration and very instructive." Good. I'm happy to hear that. That is exactly my goal. And I'm really happy that you feel that way. Phoenix Mars says, "My maternal lineage is Fulani and Kanuri in Nigeria. That's why I visited Nigeria for the first time. Ghana is next." Nice. Get to Ghana. It'll be fun. You know, that's where I'm at. That's where I live. Aisha LaDon says, "I don't know about the watch hours yet. I'm going to start working on that goal now. New series coming out." Nice. Well, good. You know, one way to get those watch hours, right? Remember what I said. Do more lives. Do more lives. If you do lives, you get your watch hours up. And that's advice for anybody who's starting to build any content too. If you want to do content, same time, same day, every week, do 3 videos a week, right? If you can, and go live at least once a week. 1, because then you don't have to edit it. And 2, because many people watch about 15 to 20% of your videos. If your video is an hour and a half or an hour or 2 hours sometimes, that can be 15 minutes or more. And for each individual viewer, which can easily lead to more of your watch hours. Most of your videos are only going to be 15 minutes in total. And if people drop off at 15%, I don't do math in public, but what is that, 3 minutes, something like that? And so if people are dropping off really early on in your videos, it's going to take longer to get your watch hours up. So that's why you got to go live. That really helps get your watch hours up. So those of you who are wondering, that was part of the reason why I went live in the first place. But I also was able to learn a lot from you all by going live, and it gives me more energy. And I'm so excited that I've been going live so much. I think this is my 77th live, somewhere in that, almost 80 lives. And so, and it's all because you guys feed me energy, and I'm so excited to do this every week. I'm never regretting going live, or not regretting. I'm never, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Sorry, it's late and I'm tired. But what I'm trying to say is I don't ever feel like it's a daunting task to go live, you know, on a Monday. Like when it's Sunday night, I'm like, oh, I got to go live. I'm really excited to go live. I might not be so excited about other things I have to do on Monday, but I'm always excited to go live. So I'm happy that you know, you guys are getting a lot out of this, because this is really why I do this. So iTuber saying what's up to Aisha. Aisha saying hi back. iTuber says, I have a video topic, Joe. What do Sierra Leoneans think of the government citizenship program for those of enslaved ancestry who do not have direct family ties? Are they for, against, or neutral? That is a great question, iTuber, and I absolutely will do some content on that. Aisha agrees. This is a conversation that we've been having about Ghana, right? Where the gentrification is happening there, and some people are not such a big fan of it. So I want to do that in Ghana as well. But Ghana, those people aren't getting citizenship. In Sierra Leone, people are. So it may be a little different. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to asking that question, and I will absolutely go live with some folks. Maybe I'll do it as a live. Maybe I'll do it as a video. I can ask different folks. My driver, I can ask. My social media manager, I can ask, and a few other people. I'd love to get their thoughts. That's a really good topic. By the way, anybody who has any topics, I haven't done this in a while, but anybody who has any topics you want me to talk about, please do let me know in the comments, whether it's in the replay or in the live comments. Let me know if you have any questions you want to ask, because these are some really, really, really good ideas that you guys come with. And I definitely did about 8 or 9 weeks worth of content on live that came from you all. So Aisha said it was a great idea and that she's been looking to get that answer too. Nice. Phoenix Mars says, how do we not displace? That is a tough question to answer. And I don't know if there is an easy way to answer that. I think I just said the same thing twice. But, you know, look, how do you not displace? It's kind of hard not to, right? I mean, it's just gentrification. That's what gentrification does. However, I will say this. Many people are building in places where there aren't other people that you're displacing, right? So, you know, and meaning like you're not necessarily kicking people out when you're buying something. Now, I'll be honest with you all. The land I bought, unfortunately, I did have to evict the tenants. Now, initially, I gave them 6 months of free rent and to find somewhere to move to, right? And they decided not to pay. So they got a full year, which I was fine with. But at the end of the year, I did have to evict them. And so that made me feel terrible. And I wish that I could have had them be able to stay there. But we wouldn't have been able to build on the property had they stayed, because they were staying in the Boros, which is board house, which was built by the British 200 years ago, 150 years ago, whatever the time frame was. And so so in that case, I did displace those folks. You know, they had to find other places to live. And that was a really hard thing to reconcile with, to be honest with you. And it's something I haven't really talked about much, but I guess I should talk about it. You know, it's kind of a hard thing to think about, you know, because I know what it's like to have home insecurity and not know where you're going to live. But I gave them as much time as humanly possible. I didn't give them 3 months. I gave them 6 months. And even when they refused to leave, I gave them a full year. So they had an entire year to move out. So rent free, by the way, they lived rent free for an entire year while they could figure out where they could move to. Okay, so some people are talking about some other things. So some of the answers here. Okay, Browncoat Blue says, easy, go to the bush. You go to bush, maybe you won't displace people. But the thing is that by all of us moving into specific neighborhoods, we raise the value of property, and so sometimes it does make it difficult for other people. But it's not like gentrification in the States where businesses are getting moved. Like in Brooklyn, where I was living, the rents went so high that the people couldn't stay there. Start a business and hire people, create jobs. That's a good one too. So that's the answer to not displacing people, create jobs, which is what I do, by the way. I am employing many Sierra Leoneans right now as contractors. Technically, I mean, they're not full-time employees of mine. They have other things that they do, but you know, definitely am employing a number of different Sierra Leoneans. If I can count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I employ 13 different Sierra Leoneans in one way, shape, or form. So yeah, I mean, I feel like to some degree I made up a little bit for displacing some of those folks. You guys let me know what you guys think. I don't know. iTuber said, I saw a comment on Twitter, a post saying 100 new Sierra Leonean passports were given today, and some replied, I get it, but I side-eye it at the same time. Someone asked her to explain, she didn't reply. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't know it was 100, but that's a lot, and good for them. 100 seems like a lot, though. The groups that I saw didn't seem like 100, but maybe it was 100. I don't know. But it was dope. There was a ceremony today. Unfortunately, I was unable to be there because, as I told you, they asked me not to come along and to film. So maybe next year they will recognize me enough that they'll allow me to come along and film. It's been interesting, right? Because, you know, although we're all proud of the progress that this channel has made thus far, it still seems very small to very many people who encounter me, right? And so, even I for myself, right? I mean, 6,000 subscribers is not like a huge number, even though, you know, through you all, we were able to hit that number. I'm impatient, right? I wanted to be at 10,000 by the end of this year. But we started the year at 1,200 subscribers. We ended the year at 6,000 subscribers. So literally 4,800 subscribers. Yes, 4,800 subscribers in a year span was huge. And I want to thank all of you guys for helping to get this content out there and helping to make sure that the content is helpful to other people. Okay. iTuber says, yeah, but that was your family land. It's for us. For us, it's different because we're starting from zero. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You know, look, it was family land. Technically, it was family land. And so, but it still doesn't change the fact that, like, people had to be removed from the land. It didn't change anything. You know, the same thing still rings true, right? Even if we buy land legit and build, we can still be labeled a certain way. Oh, listen, I'm gonna tell you, the family in there that was in there was not happy with me for sure, and I'm sure they labeled me in that same way. So I get it though. Jerry Campbell said, I think you touched on it before, but I'd like to see some content on doing business in Sierra Leone. What are the various profit centers? We will be getting that. I have a bunch of interviews coming. Razia, who joined the Instagram live, she is going to be getting interviewed. I'm definitely going to interview her. Trust me, there's a lot of interviews. The hotel manager here, owner of Nali Spa, like I mentioned before, a bunch of businesses. We got you covered on that. So you can hear about businesses that are here, and then we can also hear from people who have business ideas here as well. There's a couple of different folks who are working on like incubators and things like that here. We're gonna have all those conversations with them. All right, Phoenix Mars is asking questions about Ghana specifically, so we're going to jump to her and then we'll jump back to the YouTube live. So Phoenix Mars says, are there communities there of non-Ghanaians that discriminate against indigenous people there like in other countries? That's unethical. I don't think so. I mean, okay. Not like Black Americans, for instance, even though there are Black American communities, but there are other communities, yes. Do I want to call them out in particular? No, but you know what other populations are in Ghana that are not Ghanaian. And in some cases, yes, they do discriminate. So I'll leave it at that. I won't get into who those groups are. I don't want people to feel like I'm out here Kanyeing people and calling out an entire group of people. Don't come for me, people. But you guys know who those groups are. They're those groups. You can Google what ethnic groups are in Ghana to know who I'm talking about. And Phoenix Mars says, do you claim your fourth cousins? That's an interesting question. Do I claim my fourth cousins? Why not? I claim all family members. Why not? Are you trying to tell me something? Are we related? Are we fourth cousins, Phoenix Mars? Or help me understand what that means. I don't know what that means. Okay. iTuber says, Catch 22. If we gather together and build up a neighborhood in an empty area, we'll be labeled as separating ourselves. If we build amongst the general population, we are gentrifying. Tough situation. Yeah, but I think if you build your own community, I don't think people are going to have too much of an issue with that. Because really, at the end of the day, there are many like gated communities all over West Africa in different places. And people don't look at that gated community and go, look at all those whatever. It's just a gated community you drive past. So I don't know if that's actually necessarily a bad thing. I think where it becomes an issue is if you say like this gated community is only for this group of people and you're negatively talking about other groups outside of it. I think in those instances, that's where you probably have more problems. Okay, and Aisha told me that I was wrong when I said I can't believe it's 100 people. She said yes, it's about 100 of us each time, which is great because every year a couple hundred folks or 100 folks are getting it, so it's like another 100 folks. I mean, that's a really big deal. People getting their Sierra Leone citizenship, and I'd love to see more of that. I understand the side eye. Everyone is different. Some just do it for the passport, while others do it to reconnect, come back, and make an impact. But that number is much smaller, unfortunately. But I mean, even if they're doing it just for the passport, they still have to invest in the country, right? So take the money and you can leave and leave the money. Still helpful, right? Even if it is just for the passport. And at the end of the day, too, they have to come back and renew their passport. And so, every 5 years, you still have to come back to renew your passport because in Sierra Leone, your passport's only 5 years, not 10 years like the States. And so they'll be forced to come back, and maybe they'll see some changes that will make them want to do more in Sierra Leone. So, but I get that that's why some people might see the side eye. But not everybody wants people to come here and quote unquote help either. There's also that conversation that's happening. Well, Browncoat Blue says, I'm going to the bush, raw land, baby, peaceful. Okay. Yeah, I've landed in the bush. How much time I'm going to spend in that land in the bush, I don't know. And maybe rent it out. But yeah, I've landed in the bush, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Aisha LaDon says, I would not want to separate myself or live in a community of Americans. Sorry, just saying. That's fair. Some people are doing that. Some people don't want to. I may as well just stay here. That is one way of looking at it for sure. I think it depends on who you are and how you're doing it. There's a community in Cape Coast where they're all building, and they're building like, they're being communal and working together on shared resources, et cetera, et cetera. That's one way to do it, All right, Phoenix Mara says, I asked because I'm 4th generation removed from the Fulani and Kanuri tribe people. And you're one. Okay, so that's why you're asking if I claim my 4th generation, my 4th. What did you say? My 4th cousins. I'm a little different because I am a diasporan, sort of. You know what I'm saying? I am Sierra Leonean, 1st generation American, but culturally American, right? Some people see me as that. So I would not be necessarily the right person to ask on this particular topic, because I think you'd have to talk to people who are like born and raised currently in that country and how they see their families that are 4th generation removed. So maybe, I mean, it depends on the country and it depends on the city, right? So everyone's a little bit different, but most people tend to be generally welcoming. That's what I've seen. Is it common what people who are 4th generation moving back? It's in Ghana, it's happening a lot, and in here it's happening a ton in terms of people getting their citizenship. So yeah, that is common. It looks like more people had come in after the hour mark, the hour and 15 mark. So we're getting more engagement now, which is good. I'm glad you guys are all here. All right. Oh, Phoenix Mars was joking, but they said it makes sense. All right, cool. All right, before we go, any last minute questions, comments, concerns before we get out of here? I'll be waiting around for your questions. Phoenix Mars says, I met some awesome people in Nigeria, Yoruba and Igbo, who have already adopted me. Nice. Congratulations. Aisha LaDon says, I'm interested to learn about your documentation of history. We are an oral people. How far back do people know their lineage? And Aisha also said, get some rest, Joe. Thank you so much, as always. Thank you. And I will try to get some rest. I will say really quickly, it is an oral history. and some of it has been written, you know, at least in terms of my paternal lineage. I got a chance to know a little bit about them. And my maternal lineage, there's some people in my family working on that. We have a lot of professors and people with advanced degrees who are all trying to help us figure out who we are and where we come from. The Creole tribe is a different tribe. So, man, I feel my energy dulling. Sorry, guys. I got up really early this morning. I was up really late last night. And then the night before I was up late. So I was at an album release party that was supposed to start at 7. Started at 12. So, and I stayed till 1:30. So yeah, and I had to be up early this morning. So my apologies, guys, if my energy is like waning, but you know, I'm doing my best. All right, cool. All right, cool. Well, thanks guys for joining. I really appreciate it. Some great conversations. Oh, this is a great question. Yes, Jerry. Yes, I would recommend learning Creole. Yes, I'm probably gonna do a Creole words you wish you knew kind of thing. Like if you guys saw my video with Truvon on 25 tree words and phrases I wish I knew before coming to Ghana, I'm going to do the same thing with Creole. It's necessary. It's absolutely necessary. So we're going to do Creole. You guys will get a chance to see that, and you guys got to work on it when you get here, because it's much more helpful to know and speak Creole when you get here, for sure. And Aisha LaDon says it's so fun to learn. It is. It is. For me, it's like I have some traumatizing moments, because I remember, you know, trying to speak Creole sometimes and the generation before us laughing at us, and now you don't want to speak it. But, you know, I think, and even my friends here, you guys know who you are. Some of you joined the live because I saw you, would laugh at my Creole because my accent. If you guys remember Mayor Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York, billionaire Mayor Bloomberg, he used to do Spanish versions of a lot of his speeches, and they were really bad, with a really bad American accent. And so a lot of times I think of myself as that when I'm speaking Creole with my American accent. So Jerry said he's on it. Excuse me. It says thanks again. Well, on that note, thank you guys for joining the live. If you guys found this useful, any of the information we talked about here, if you liked what you saw, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you comment. If you have any questions for me, comment in the replay. Share this with anybody you know. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. All right. 70% of the people who watch these videos do not subscribe. So subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified every time a new video comes out, so you can't miss these. Jerry's saying that Mayor Bloomberg his Spanish was dreadful and I can't be as bad as him. No, I'm not as bad as him, but I'm just saying it's pretty bad. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you all on the next video. Wait, sorry, that's what I want to do. All right, bye, guys.